right, so we talked about code, some options for students coming out of IDP. Let's talk about design, the other pathway or one of the other silos, let's call it, okay? So, graphic design and web design, you're learning that as well, right? Visual communications, have you had that course yet? Jared taught you that one? Yeah, okay. So design principles and visual principles and stuff like that, right? Diving into graphic design and web design as well, okay? So if you are a person that is a visual communicator or visually, you enjoy the visual elements of this course so far, then you may be looking at a graphic design, web design kind of position when you leave. Truthfully, these are the important parts of graphic design, web design, being a visual communicator that solves problems. Okay? Because as much as you are quote unquote a designer, you are really a problem solver. Okay? So what I mean by that is your clients will come in, they give you a project, but really the project is the problem, right? They have a project, they don't know how to do what you do. So they give it to you to solve the problem, right? In basic terms. So they rely on your creative thinking to solve that problem visually for them because they can't do it. Okay? So you love working with type, you love photography, you like illustration. You don't necessarily have to love illustration to be a graphic designer. Well, sorry, web designer. If you want to be a graphic designer, you're going to love illustration. Okay. You'll like, working in Illustrator, working in Photoshop for these design positions. You'll like XD or Figma for layout in the web world. Okay. You enjoy creating, pleasing and thoughtful layouts. Okay. You like designing logos and doing branding and that kind of thing. Package design. You like package design. You're doing some package design this semester, yes?
We did last semester.
Last semester, was it? With Jared again, right? Which is cool. That may be your thing.
Is it product design? It's more like product design, right?
Well, no, product design's different. Packaging is like designing the actual packaging that a product goes inside. Okay? You may like that. That's more of a traditional design person's job. I hate package design. I hate it. I've done it, and I hate it. Okay? Sorry. I just don't like it. Where I work, we have one guy. He does all the package design. He loves it. It's technical. It's actually really, really technical. Because in Canada, we have two official languages, right? French and English. And French can't be smaller than English on your package or on signage in Quebec. Okay, so if I were to create a sign or do a package that had the French slightly smaller than the English, they'll take it off the shelf. Okay, they have people that go around and check that stuff, and then the company loses money because their product isn't on the shelf, and then they have to reprint the packaging. It's kind of a pain. Okay, but he loves it, and he takes it on and loves doing it. Outdoor signage design, so think of like, billboards outside for advertising. You like doing that kind of thing. So those are kind of traditional print areas. that a graphic designer would dive into? Creating ads. So when I say creating ads, when you're going through a magazine and it's an advertisement for a product, or that kind of thing. That's going to be up your alley. This silo is going to be up your alley. Okay. So, what does a designer do, or a graphic designer?
So for this first video, I wanted to start out with more of a general overview about what it's like to be a designer. Should you be one? What kind of things do you need to become a designer, and is it the right career path for you? I didn't really know exactly what the day-to-day would be like when I was a student studying design, but now that I've had 7 or so years under my belt of working in design, I kind of know a little bit about what it takes and what the day-to-day is going to look like for you. The first thing you need to know is exactly what is design. Now, I know there's been books written on this, and there could be tons and tons of stuff to say here, but basically design is solving a problem in a meaningful way. Probably the #1 misconception about design is that it's just making things pretty. And while there are some aspects to making design visually appealing, that's really only the top layer of design. It goes much deeper than that. But ultimately what matters is if it solves a problem. Another thing design is not is art. We need art, we love art, we need to appreciate beauty, and that's why we love things like music and movies, going to the theater, going to a gallery, and being in awe of these beautiful pieces of art. But that's not really what design is. Art is something that makes you feel something, something that's up for a lot of interpretation, and oftentimes it's art for art's sake. While design can be beautiful, that's not the point of it. Design is not art. Similarly, you can't think of design as something super personal towards you as a designer. You are not creating things for yourself most of the time. It's for a client or the company that you're working for. You're not designing things just because you like them. You're actually solving problems on behalf of another person or another company. In order to be a designer, you really need to be able to put yourself aside, think in terms of the ultimate viewer, the audience, or the user that's going to be using the design, looking at the design, and that's really who you're working for, not yourself. So if you're thinking about being a designer,
Okay. Makes sense? Design? Yeah? One of the things I like that she says is design is not art. And it's not art, really. Because art can be interpreted in many different ways, right? You can look at a painting and it gives you a feeling and it gives me a different feeling and so forth. Generally speaking, I would say in design, if you're designing a website, you want every user to feel the same, right? So there is a pretty big difference between the two, okay? So some areas though, if we encompass design into a silo, is like you could essentially, if you love Illustrator, you could be an illustrator straight out of IDP. You could, okay? Draw things all day. You could be a photo editing manipulator. That means you love Photoshop. Who loves Photoshop? Yes? Kinda? Every time I say, who likes Illustrator? Nobody likes Illustrator. What the heck? Oh, I got a couple. Okay, sorry, I didn't look over there. And then usually what I get is, who likes Illustrator? And everybody puts their hands up, or maybe one or two. And then I say, who likes Photoshop? And then everybody puts their hands up. If you want to be a designer, you got to know them both quite well. Okay, where I work, for many years, I would be considered a photo manipulator, where I would take 5, 6, 7 stock images and turn it into one, so that I could sell whatever I was selling. Okay, create that scene. So I love Photoshop. Do I like Illustrator? I actually love Illustrator. I like both of them. But as a graphic design person, you should really want to dive into both programs and use them well. Okay? brand identity designer, a type designer, sit there and design type all day. Whoa. Oh my God, who the heck wants a design? I don't know. People like that. Okay, it's their thing. Do we go into type design and IDP? No, but just know it's out there. It is a possibility. You'll have the software skills that maybe you could apply that knowledge to type design. I don't know. Okay, I talked about packaging artist, web designer, interface designer, advertising designer, email designer. Create emails all day long, design them. Okay. I mean, there's so many areas that you could dive into with the knowledge that you will gain from this program. Okay, they're a little more specialized, some of them, like say a t-shirt designer. We don't show you how to be a t-shirt designer, but we show you Illustrator and Photoshop, show you how to make logos. You could apply that knowledge and create t-shirts. You could, right? You know, go be an emoji designer if that's your interest. Okay, catch on with Google and or whoever, Facebook, and design their iconography. I don't know, it's a possibility, but you'll have those skills. You'll have the software skills and the design thinking skills to apply it to these different positions. Okay. Okay, so I kind of showed you like specialist areas, right? Package designer, you know, Illustrator, and so forth, and they're kind of like specialists in design discipline. Okay, where a graphic designer kind of knows all of those principles and can utilize those skills across package design, poster design, t-shirt design, and so forth, right? A little bit broader. So say you love to design logos, and that's what you want to do the rest of your life. You could do that. Certainly you could do that. But, you know, coming straight out of school, it may be kind of tough to specialize unless you are phenomenal at it. Okay? And I know for sure, at our company, we've hired people coming out of the graphic design program, okay, over at main campus. When they come into work, we expect them to be able to do everything when it comes to design. I could give them a job to design a logo, they design a logo. I could give them a brochure to work on, they work on a brochure. I could give them a website to lay out, they lay out the website. So they have a lot, like a broader range of skills. And the more skills you have in the design world, the better, okay? For you, for employment possibilities, okay? That's what I'm trying to get at here. In general, the more skills, the better. Okay. Yeah. So, you know, eventually, don't get me wrong, you can specialize. Certainly. I just don't think it's in design, in a certain area. I just don't feel like it is great for you to come out of here and say, I'm going to be a package designer. Okay? I don't feel like that's going to be beneficial. I feel like you need to be able to do all of it. Eventually, you can specialize. Okay? Eventually, you can specialize. So, for instance, I can draw. Okay? That was how I started. I could draw. and I wanted to do animation and cartoons and stuff like that. Okay? So I know how to do illustration, but, you know, it takes me a little bit longer to do illustration. And we got a project at work where we had to do caricatures of 20 employees for one of our clients. And we hired somebody to do it. And he does it all day, every day. He's an illustrator. He specialized in illustration. He's from Colombia. And he is phenomenal. There's no way I could compete with him. He does it so good, so fast, it's incredible. Okay? You can maybe eventually get there. Okay? If that's your passion, you could maybe specialize in a specific area of design. Okay? And I already mentioned this. In general, advertising agencies that deal with design like well-rounded design people. Okay? And like I said, it will take you a couple of years, maybe a year, to figure that out. Okay? In general, it took me about 15 years to figure out what I want to do. Like what I want to focus on, or what I want to specialize in. I'm a slow learner. 15 years, okay? Because when I graduated, and I took a course very similar to this course, but in Toronto, I enjoyed the design. I enjoyed the motion design, the 3D. Believe it or not, I enjoyed the coding. Okay, I did. So I liked everything. Then I went into the industry and I started working. Okay, and when I started working, I became a multimedia designer. Okay, that was my first job. Multimedia designer was someone who, at that time, mostly focused on web design. So I designed websites, but then I also coded the websites. Okay? And back then, you only had to know HTML and CSS. No JavaScript, no. And your websites weren't responsive, right? They were just like a piece of paper, and that's kind of the way they were. They didn't resize and stuff, right? Because what wasn't, you know, I mean, I graduated in 1999. Yes, I know, it's a long time ago. Okay? What wasn't around in 1999?
Like smartphones?
Phones. Okay? That's what drove responsive design, or tablets. I mean, you had a desktop computer, you had a laptop. That's it. Right. Well, we had phones, don't get me wrong. I meant smartphones. Okay? We had phones. We had the flip phones. You know those old flip phones?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. They're making a comeback. Did you know that? Yeah. I thought that was weird because I hated smartphones. I was like, this makes sense. You know? Anyways. So that's what I did when I first started, and I worked at it for about 9 months. I did print design as well. I also did branding, I did video editing, and I designed websites and coded them. I did that for 9 months, and then I got laid off. Okay? That was in Kitchener. So then I came to London, and from my 9 months of multimedia designer, I jumped right into an interactive art director's position. Okay, because at the time, you can't do this now, it's impossible. At the time, not many people knew what I knew. They didn't know how to code websites. They didn't know how to design websites. I was like on the verge of the internet when it came to design and making web pages and so forth, okay? So I jumped into that position. I stayed there for 5 years. Again, I was doing website designs and coding, but I jumped into this area that was really interesting. Corporate branding, so making logos, brand identities. But I really dived into advertising. Okay, so advertising like magazine advertising, right? Selling products and so forth. And coming up with that really cool tagline with the cool visual to sell a product. Okay, and I did that for 5 years, and then I got laid off again. Okay. I only got laid off for, I found a job in a week. So I got laid off here, and a week later I started as an art director at a different company. I was there for 9 years. Okay? And then I worked on print ads and brochures and sell sheets and billboards and illustrations. I didn't do any web design. None. Okay? But through these years, I was doing stuff on the side to figure out what I really wanted to do. Okay? All through those years. And I wasn't sure. I enjoyed everything. But then I was like, you know what? Do I want to stay on top of, creating, coding? Because coding was changing, right? Like I said, you didn't need JavaScript, and then you were getting responsive sites, and then I would have had to learn JavaScript, and I probably should have, but I didn't. Okay? So I kind of evolved, and I was like, you know what? In this time period, I wanted to do visual effects, motion design, and animation. Took me that long to figure it out. Okay? So then, and because I worked on a project, I worked on this project actually, I could bring it up. In my spare time, there was a little fan film. Do we know Lord of the Rings?
Yeah.
Okay.
Will not be safe much longer. The men of Dale speak of strange folk passing out of the east. The Iron Hills are troubled and the elves are closing the borders of their lands. Orcs have returned to Moria. Soon they will be even this side of the mountains.
The servants of the enemy multiply as his strength increases. Alas, there are now so few lacking.
Our secret is no longer safe.
Tell me, what is this creature you seek?
I will find him.
The road will not be easy, but you have the foresight of your people. If you can't find him, no one can.
that like those mountains weren't like, we created that in 3D, right? Okay, so that is, I won't show the whole thing, I won't bore you. It's old, it's like from 2009. It's still online if you wanna watch it. We made it for $5,500, the entire movie. It was shot in England. Okay. I did map painting, so I painted backgrounds and did compositing and all that kind of stuff. It was my introduction into, can I do this? Through my years of my experience. Do I like it? Okay. That's why I'm like talking to you guys, take the summer. Do some searching, some soul searching now. Don't wait 15 years. Okay? Don't wait the 15 years. It was a long 15 years. Okay? And through working with people like me, well, I shouldn't say like me, or I was like them, it was like an eye-opener. I was like, I've got to do this. Okay? I feel like my skills are good for this. Anyways, so okay. So after I made or worked on that movie, I shouldn't say I made it. I worked on a few scenes. Okay, where I painted the background. Okay, right? You know, those backgrounds aren't real, right? More of the things. You know? So I painted those backgrounds in Photoshop. And then I took live action film, implemented it into my painting, and composited it all together. Okay? To get it into the film. I loved it. It was my thing. So at that time, after that time, I had an opportunity to go into being a creative and visual effects director and be a teacher at the same time. So I actually quit my job of 9 years, said I'm gone, I'm done. I'm not gonna do logo design anymore, sell sheets and so forth and so on. I'm gonna work in TV. I'm gonna do TV commercials, and I'm gonna do corporate videos and so forth and so on. And at the same time, I was gonna teach. Now, I did have an opportunity in those years. So I was actually doing more motion design versus special effects, though it was kind of, sometimes I had to pull off some stuff, okay? I had an opportunity to work at Moving Pictures Group, which is a large special effects company. But I would have had to move to Montreal, and I would have had to quit teaching and so forth and so on. So I decided, you know what, I'm gonna stay here so you can enjoy me. and work in television for a while. And then I left there and became a digital artist, but I focused now more on video. So Premiere, After Effects, Cinema 4D, motion design, those kind of things, okay? So my path took me a while, but I got there, okay? And so generally speaking, I do teach those courses here as well, okay, at Fairchild. I just, not this semester for you guys. So that's my journey, okay? Make your journey shorter. Think about it in the summer, okay? Think about it in the summer. Okay, so motion design. Again, you're learning that with John right now. You've done 3D, yes. Now you're into After Effects, okay? Those two programs together, if you know them well, you can call yourself a motion designer. okay? But one thing about motion design, the basis of motion design is design, okay? It's design that moves. That's it, right? But the core of it is that it still has to be good and well designed. You can have motion design that is just shitty design moving, right? What I think some people would, or some students when they jump into this area, I like motion design, sounds cool. Well, make sure you understand it is about design first, and then you use those applications to make them move around. Okay? So you would like to work on like title sequences and TV show intros and commercials and visual entertainment of some sort. Okay? Thinking of title sequences. What's the one? Not Lord of the Rings. Oh. Game of Thrones. Seen Game of Thrones? Yes? Okay. That intro to Game of Thrones, so that title sequence is like epic. It won awards after awards. I mean, it was, I believe, done in Cinema 4D. Okay, lots of plugins, for sure. Pretty amazing. It could have been Cinema 4D and Houdini, which is another 3D software. Okay, I don't know for sure, but if you like that kind of thing, maybe motion design is up your alley. Okay. And I do feel like motion design or video in general has become a massive part of our industry. People, clients want to advertise their stuff, not in still images all the time. They want to use social media to put their videos on there, correct? Right? And show off whatever they want to sell or whatever they want to talk about. Okay? But motion design is like doing TV intros and that kind of stuff, but it's based off of design. Okay?
What's it like to be a professional motion designer? It's actually a tough question to answer. So we decided to take a field trip to Detroit, Michigan to visit 4 very different studios. They all do motion design, but in very different ways and with very different styles. Our first stop is Yeah House, a small studio that creates beautiful illustrated motion design with a focus on 2D.
Our studio, it's kind of like a hybrid of animation and motion graphics. I feel like it's evolved and morphed into like more design-oriented things combined together within After Effects.
Co-founder Michelle Willette's art background has given the studio's work a distinctive, beautiful look.
I'm an illustrator, I come from an illustration background, and I do think that like you should do what you want to be doing. I want to be making something that I'm really excited about.
I start with like basics. I'll paint like in just a couple colors, usually complementary, and then I start to build on it. There's just so many plugins, there's so many things you can learn. There's only so much that you need to make something good.
Yeah House has an amazing in-house team, but they'll also work with freelancers like Steve Sabali.
Right now I have the fractal noise kind of driving these little things, and then I'll start adding in little things like the long crossbars. Devil's in the details. If it's there, it looks good, and if it's not, it just kind of feels wrong.
Doing great work with a great team in an awesome studio? This is how it's done, people.
We'll just keep doing this until jobs stop coming in.
Yeah.
I guess they haven't, so.
Across town, Lunar North cranks out amazing motion design in their own distinct style, which relies heavily on 3D.
Motion design for us is way more of like we're graphic designers first, and then we are animators. Approaching the 3-dimensional software with a graphic design mindset and doing like more layout kind of stuff. How can we make these designs feel more tangible now?
This is actually almost like building a movie set, and then you can go through and work through all little corners and detail.
The production techniques used by Lunar North are technical, but design always comes first.
The technical side is still big in motion graphics because the tools are constantly changing, but the principles principles of design, the principles of typography, staying the same. So we're solving communication problems. We're trying to like distill big metaphors into bite-sized little pieces.
Having the confidence to go after creatively and technically challenging work has given Lunar North some amazing opportunities.
The tech blog The Verge contacted us, and they were working on a 360 video for Michelle Obama for the White House. And we instantly said, of course we know how to do that, without ever having done that before. And we made an 11.5-minute 360 video in like 2 weeks, storyboard, design, animation.
Staying on the cutting edge of technology has helped the company stay nimble.
I think we found a pretty good workflow at this point, and we're able to do lots of really heavy 3D car stuff, lots of really heavy scene stuff.
You know, these little things of rocks and bushes and mountains are hidden in the distance. We'll use a real 360 photograph to fill in the background and create a sky.
You can tell that everyone here loves what they're doing, and it shows in the work.
So I think being able to kind of keep a hub here where people don't have to go to the coast all the time was a really big part of why I wanted to come back to Detroit and start this here. We love what we do. We're passionate about it.
Next up, we check out Gunner, who are irrefutable proof that you don't need to live in New York or LA to do world-class motion design.
The market's definitely at a point where you can be anywhere and you can do anything, especially if you work really hard at it.
The studio's work has a ton of variety, which is possible because of their teamwork-oriented approach.
There's something amazing about like when you just work and mix with people.
I think the biggest mistake you can make getting into this is thinking you have to do everything yourself. You can kind of water everything down, or you get really good at one thing that you're really excited about, and then somebody will always pick you to put you on their team.
Like Rachel, who is a traditional cell animator doing things the old-fashioned way.
For someone who loves to draw, if you like to make things move as well, then it's like, well, I want to draw this same character over and over and over again. It takes a long time, but it's like you're in your own little world and you get to make creative decisions.
Sitting next to Rachel was John, who was making animations for Google that will end up playing in an app on a phone.
The really interesting thing now is that there's tools that can interpret After Effects animations as lines of code. So,
Okay, I'll stop it there. I just want to stop it here because this is actually quite interesting. You're learning After Effects, okay? So in After Effects, and I don't think you'll touch on this yet, you will eventually. There is what we call like a vector area of After Effects, and it includes what they call shape layers. So they're like Illustrator Vector, okay, within After Effects. And this plugin, Lottie, allows you to create vector animations, export out through this plugin, and it's free, okay? And then you import it into your code, which is pretty amazing. So, like they were talking about, the fellow was talking about he was creating animations for Google, right? And they were going into, I believe, their application on the phone. So they were taking video and turning it into code, kind of. Okay? It's pretty awesome when you think about it. So if you get a chance, check it out. Okay? But it's vector-based After Effects animations. Okay? They're vector-based, not raster, all vector. Okay? Using this plugin. Okay. Almost done. Almost done. Okay, you could be, a straight-up video editor. Can you see the difference? When we did video editing in Premiere, did it look anything like those motion graphics that were going on? Did it? Did Mother, Son, and the Captain look anything like the motion graphics from the previous video? No. No. It's very different. Video editor is someone that is trained to cut video together. Color grade, color correct video, tell a story, right? Do motion designers not tell a story? Sure, they tell a story. Okay? But it's more designing. Okay? Yeah, more motion. Yeah. Do motion designers, can they interject some video into their motion designs? Sure they can. Okay? There are people out there that just do video editing. Okay, so like the broadcast program over at Main Campus, worked with a fella, he graduated from there. He could run a television camera to do like filming of, say, the news or something. They learn that kind of stuff, but they learn video editing. Give you a video, chop it together, tell the story, that's it. That's what he did. And that's what he still does, and that's what he enjoys. Okay? So you may resonate more towards video editing in this program. I don't know. Okay? But if you love telling stories, if you love color grading, if you love color correction, those kind of things, technical things, let's say, this may be an area that you want to look into. Though in this particular course, you're going to do video editing and motion design all together. Okay. In IDP. Okay. And next semester, you get a full semester of cinema. Okay, so you get a full semester of Cinema 4D. Is everybody happy about that?
Yeah.
Why? What's the matter? What don't you like about cinema? It takes time. Yeah, you're right. But okay, the thing about being a motion designer, because in that video, remember there was a motion design house that used a lot of cinema, a lot of 3D. Okay. And I've had students actually in last semester say to me, I don't want to do motion design. I said, well, why don't you want to do motion design? I don't like Cinema 4D. Why don't you like Cinema 4D? I don't like modeling. Okay? As a motion designer, do you have to model things all the time? No. You guys are doing the Hyatt room, right? There's a lot of modeling, yes? Okay. It is a skill, for sure, to be a 3D modeler, but if you're a motion designer, it's good to know 3D modeling, but you don't have to do 3D modeling. If I have a client come to me and say, Joe, I need, I had one time a client come to me and say, I need a refinery, okay, like an oil refinery, and I'm like, that'll take me a long time to model. So I just told them, or actually one time I had a person say they needed a 3D person. So it takes a long time to model that. So I told them, you know what, instead of me modeling it, let's go buy it. And we bought it, and then we used the model. I added the textures and that kind of thing, and then did the animation. Okay. Though I must say, I've had clients come to me and say, I need a schematic of Tim Hortons. Okay, so they asked me to show a truck through the drive-through of Tim Hortons, cut the building in half and show the side view of it. So people could see what was going on behind the counter. I had to model that, okay? The building and cut it in half and all that stuff. Generally speaking, you don't have to do a lot of modeling. So moving forward, your next semester, don't be scared of cinema. Embrace cinema. Embrace it. You'll learn like cool things, like how to make TV intros and stuff like that. Okay. Anyways, I don't know why you guys don't like cinema. I love cinema. Okay. Does it take long? Yes. Does it take time to plan? Yes. Right, so there's tons of options in the video world. 3D for sure, there's many, many different jobs. Like 3D animator, 3D character animator. So making people move would be a character animator. It's a hard job, actually. We don't teach 3D character animation. You will know how to do it an easier way than doing it the traditional way. There's compositing artists, render specialists. This probably will resonate. How do you like rendering? Okay, how do you like rendering in 3D? Love it? No, takes a long time. Yes? Is it Deviano? He's not here, is he? He was telling me all you guys were using his computer to render. You should. It's killer. His computer is fast. I've never seen anything like it, truthfully. But there's people out there that just focus on how to render 3D videos or out of software. Because John's taught you rendering with like global illumination and ambient occlusion, yes? Using the standard renderer. There's also the physical renderer. There's also Redshift renderer, all in Cinema. I mean, it's hard to remember all that stuff, so somebody can specialize in it and do it. Lighting artist, you just light 3D scenes all day long. Okay, texture artist and so forth. Medical 3D modeler and animator. John show you his medical animation of the heart. That was cool. Like super cool. And he's really good at it. Really good at medical animations and stuff like that. So there is a massive area that you can jump into. Video editing, effects, title design, motion designer, and so forth. Okay? Lots of options out there. That's it. Thanks. It says thanks. And I can't remember which language. Okay? That's it. That's all. You all now have a clearer view of what you're going to be, yes? Or did I muddy the waters? I would absolutely take the time this summer, not that it's over with yet, we still have one more week, okay? So next week we're going to talk about your portfolios and then you're going to get your last assignment, okay? It's not that bad, okay? But take the time to think about it, okay? You have the time in the summer, think about it. Cool? All right, that's it.
You could look down.
But you speak clearly. If we don't speak Spanish, we can say. Yeah, it's